I walked into a Dubai real estate office with nothing but Bitcoin on my phone, and for a moment I truly didn't know if I'd walked out holding a new house key or wearing a pair of handcuffs. No joke, right? In Dubai, you can actually buy property with cryptocurrency now, right? Legally and safely. And the idea, it sounded a bit like science fiction to me at first. I mean, a few years ago, the very thought of trading some Bitcoin for a luxury villa would have gotten you kind of laughed out of the room or maybe even escorted out by security. But times have changed fast. When I heard it was now possible, I knew I had to find out more for myself and if you could really turn digital coins into concrete and steel. Spoiler is that you can, but the process had a few twists that I never saw coming and even a heart-stopping moment. So stick around because this story takes a turn that you just won't expect. Let me set the scene. Dubai is already like a crypto playground, right? You can buy your morning coffee with crypto, hop on the metro, even Emirates Airlines will let you pay for flights with it. It's kind of wild. So the idea of buying something huge like real estate with crypto wasn't totally out of nowhere. But a house is a lot bigger than a cup of, chai, right? I wondered how on earth would that even work? Would a developer really say, sure, just send us some Bitcoin and the keys are yours? So at first, my family thought I'd completely lost it, right? My mum was convinced that I'd either end up homeless or in jail. She literally said, don't come crying to me if you trade your Bitcoin for a box of sand. Thanks for the vote of confidence, mum. But, of course, her skepticism was kind of fair. I also had a ton of questions. Was it even legal to buy property with crypto in Dubai? Or was I about to accidentally launder money and get myself into some serious trouble? So I started digging around and whoa, Dubai actually did its homework on this one. Since 2022, they set up a whole system to make crypto real estate deals legit. Right? They created a regulator called VARA, that's the Virtual Asset Regulatory Authority, to oversee anything crypto, exchanges, brokers, you name it. Major players like Binance even got VARA licenses to enable secure crypto conversions to dirham. That basically meant that I could convert Bitcoin to UAE dirhams, without actually feeling like I was doing something shady. What a relief. And then there's the central bank of the UAE. They issued rules on, at least to kind of keep things, above board too. So basically, after August of 2025, any property deal involving stablecoins has to go through full KYC and anti-money laundering checks. No anonymous Bitcoin whales buying penthouses with dirty money, not on their watch. And the Dubai Land Department, the DLD, had one more rule. When you register the sale, the final price has to be in UAE dirhams. Basically, even if you pay with Bitcoin, somewhere along the line that crypto must be converted to AED through an approved channel before they can put it in the official records. Basically, the law was saying, it's cool, you can use your fun internet money to pay, but on paper, we still need a record of it in the traditional currency. They want the paperwork to look normal, so it's enforceable and familiar to anyone. Now, all of these layers of rules might sound boring, but to me, they were a huge green light. It meant that I could actually do this without ending up on an episode of American Greed, Dubai edition, of course. Now, VARA oversight, central bank regulations, DLD requirements, together, they created a very clear legal pathway. And it kind of felt the safety nets were actually in place so that I wouldn't accidentally step off a cliff while using crypto. Okay, so I'm armed with this knowledge, so I set out to actually go ahead and do it. Find a property and figure out how to pay in crypto. I half expected to be the first guy ever to ask, right? But turns out crypto is the new cool kid on the block in the Dubai real estate scene. So I walk into the high-end brokerage and casually mention that I'd be interested in paying with Bitcoin. I braced myself for a weird look, but instead, the agent just nodded and said, yeah, we can do that. I was stunned for a second. This wasn't some sketchy back alley outfit either. It was a legit firm in a fancy office. That's when I kind of learned that you can walk into almost any real estate brokerage in Dubai now, and they'll be totally fluent in crypto deals. Now, the agent started telling me how several big developers are already on board with crypto. That's 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗰𝗍 Properties and 𝗲. Oh yeah, he said they've been accepting Bitcoin, Ether, even stablecoins for a while now on certain projects. I almost did a double take. 𝗗𝗏, the luxury real estate giant, openly saying crypto is welcome. Apparently, yes. 𝗲, well, the builders of the Burj Khalifa, they accept digital payments on some of their developments too. Even 𝗗𝗏, famous for the Palm Jumeirah Islands, is cool with crypto payments through payment partners like 𝗗𝗏. Now, mind is blown here, right? I realized that I wasn't the only one with this crazy idea. In fact, by early 2025, roughly 3% of all off-plan real estate sales in Dubai were already being done via cryptocurrency. Sure, 3%, it sounds small, but in a huge market like this, that's hundreds of homes. And the number was growing. If other people could pull it off, there was no reason that I couldn't be one of them. So hearing all that kind of gave me a boost of confidence then. I picked out an apartment that I liked, a nice little place with a view of the marina, because you know me, and I decided to go for it. Now came the tricky part, actually paying for it in Bitcoin without messing anything up. First, I knew I needed a real estate agent who truly speaks crypto, not just someone who has heard of Bitcoin, but someone who actually has handled crypto transactions before. So I found an agency that literally specializes in these kind of deals. And when I walked into their office, I kid you not, they had a Bitcoin ATM in the lobby with a neon sign on the wall that said, "In crypto we trust." And I knew that this was the right place. Now, my agent, let's call him Ahmed, already had a step-by-step plan for me. We negotiated and agreed on a price of the apartment in dirhams. Everything in Dubai is priced in AED, of course, but I would be paying the equivalent amount in crypto. Now, the sale contract explicitly stated that while I transfer BTC or ETH for the payment, it would actually be converted into AED before the final registration and at least with the government. So basically, in other words, the contract said payment may start in Bitcoin, but will end in dirhams by the time the land department signs it off. So by the way, everything would stay nice and legal in the eyes of the authorities. Now, I wasn't just about to send a bunch of Bitcoin directly to the seller with a handshake and a smile. No, we used a crypto payment platform, basically an escrow service that handles crypto. Now, these are companies in Dubai that do this. They take your crypto, they convert it through a regulated exchange, and then hand over the equivalent cash to the seller. All the regulatory steps happen in the background and you get the official receipts. Now, in my case, the developer I was buying from actually had a partnership with one of these services. That added a lot of peace of mind because it meant that this wasn't their first rodeo either. Now, I still had to actually move my crypto funds though, right? To convert my crypto to AED, I used Kraken Pro, an exchange that I already am on and feel pretty comfortable with. Quick transparency note though, I do have an affiliate link for Kraken Pro. It's in the description. And if you do go ahead and use that link, it supports the channel here. Anyway, I transferred the Bitcoin that I needed into my Kraken Pro account to get ready for the big conversion. And I let me kind of tell you, watching the price chart while doing this was a bit nerve-wracking. It's not every day that you're converting an amount of Bitcoin worth, an entire house into cash, right? And so to play it safe, I decided to convert most of my Bitcoin into stablecoins, USDT, Tether, before making the final payment, right? That way, the value was locked in and I wouldn't, feel any fluctuations the last minute, right? Now, a lot of buyers, they do this, right? And I learned that the hard way. But, the last thing that you want to do is agree on the price and then have Bitcoin's price jump or crash overnight. So using something like USDT was kind of like hitting pause, or at least the pause button on the volatility. The crisis averted. And so with my stablecoins ready, I instructed Kraken to convert them to AED and send the funds over to the escrow account. Kraken is a license provider, so they could directly transfer into the local banking system. Honestly, it kind of went surprisingly smooth, right? The longest wait was, of course, the bank transfer to confirm, and even that was pretty quick in the end. So all in all, it took maybe an hour or two for the money to move from my Kraken account to the escrow's UAE bank account, which is nothing compared to the days that it can take for international wire transfers. So the crypto part was done in minutes, and the conversion to AED was basically instant on Kraken's side. Now, of course, before we could actually close the deal, I had to go through the standard compliance checks because, or at least just because I was using crypto doesn't mean that I get to skip all of the paperwork, right? I basically had to give them my life story. I handed over my IDs, proof of address, and even proof of where all the money came from, right? Pay stubs, bank statements for the account that kind of originally funded all of my crypto. Now, you name it, I provided it. I half expected them to ask for blood sample and a note from my third grade teacher, but they also wanted to verify that the crypto wallet that I was using was actually mine. So I ended up doing a small test transaction that I sent the transaction ID to prove it. It was a bit tedious, yes, a little bit, but I totally get why, right? Dubai is making sure that no one is using real estate to secretly wash money. For the size of this particular purchase, it was a small price to pay for, all things on the book. Now, let's hold on for a second. Before I go any further, I need to say something super important, and this one might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies, they are highly volatile, and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video today is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Alright, so I had to get that out there basically. Don't go selling your house for Bitcoin just because I did the opposite, okay? So let's get back to the story. Now at this point, I had navigated all the legal stuff. I'd locked in the price, converted the crypto to cash, and passed all the compliance checks. So we were finally ready to kind of close the deal. On the big day, I met up with the seller's representative at the Dubai Land Department's office, signed the mountain of paperwork. I think I signed my name more times that day than I had done in the past year. And yes, every number on those documents was listed in dirhams as required, right? And by the time my crypto had already been converted and was sitting in the escrow account in AED, ready to be released, once all the paperwork was in order, the escrow service released the dirhams and at least to the seller's account, and I got the receipt showing that I'd paid X AED for the property, even though behind the scenes, those dirhams came from my crypto. And then it kind of happened, right? They handed me the new title deed and along with it, the keys to my new apartment. Now, I can't fully describe that moment, right? Here I was, a guy who just a short while ago was wondering if this whole idea was even legal, now holding the keys to a home I purchased with digital currency. I walked out of that office feeling like I was living in the future. I half expected someone to run after me and yell, "Wait, there's been a mistake." But no, it was done. It was real. I texted a picture of the keys to my mum and wrote, "Not a box of sand," right? With a winky face. Now, I think, that's when she finally actually believed that this was real too. And so if you want to dive deeper or ask your own crypto home buying adventure, then join our free educational Discord server. There's a link in the description. It's full of great people, zero spam, and all the weird crypto questions. They are welcome. For now, though, you can subscribe for more stories like this, and I'll see you all in the next one.